Hi, guys. Welcome to the TOWTalk podcast. In this segment, Neil and I are going to be discussing the appointment that I had regarding the possible growth in my left eye and an update on that. And then we're going to sort of expand a little bit further on our healthcare discussion. So before we get started, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We've got lots more content coming. Definitely leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. And stay tuned for the show.
So the next thing, our next topic, you have an update for your eye and healthcare. So
Yes.
please give us that update.
So I did go to the retina specialist here in the town of Walkill, and my God, if you ever go to a retina specialist, let me tell you, it's a long event. I was there a minimum of 2 hours. First you sit there and waiting. It was crowded, a lot of people there. When they bring you in, first they bring you in and they put drops in your eyes and they put a numbing agent, which makes you look like you got jaundice. And you sit there like MAGOO, right? And then they took pictures and scans. Let me tell you, I couldn't see anything. Everything was blurry, and then they take all these pictures and these, I guess, similar to like a CAT scan, where they could get all the different slides, and then you go back out of the room and you sit again for another half an hour, and then they wanted to take more pictures, which had me more nervous. But finally, I did get to see the doctor. Apparently, they just want to watch. They said they don't see it being a problem. They don't see that it needs to be dealt with at this time. But I am going back in 3 months just so they can take a second set of scans of the eye just to see if there is any change. They sent me home with a graph that I'm supposed to stare at like once a week and see if I see any wavy lines. I'm supposed to wear sunglasses all the time, which, sunglasses, I guess I should get prescription sunglasses. I go to the dollar store. That's where I get all my glasses. Stuff like this. My reading glasses. I go to the dollar store. That's what I use. Even though I do have prescription glasses, and I don't use them anymore now that I'm wearing contacts, but I still need, I guess I need something. But so far, it looks like it's going to be okay. Nothing serious to look at, so I'm happy. But yes,
Any
if you
word on
ever,
the healthcare? Any word on the healthcare?
it was covered. They said it would be
Okay,
covered as a medical appointment, so I'll have a
that's good
copay.
news.
That's good news. And so that will. He suggested that they see it. We're going to do 3 months. If no change, then 6 months, and then once a year. And he said I should alternate that, 6 months with my regular appointment, so that I'm seeing an eye doctor once every 6 months, either him or the optometrist, just to maintain my eyes. So, and so obviously I'm going to consider that when it comes to renewal time, which brings us back to the shutdown that you mentioned earlier, because one of the points that the Democrats were making is they wanted to see if they could extend the subsidies that would help to keep costs down. Obviously, it looks like he wants a shutdown, and the shutdown's going to happen. So I can fully expect my subsidies to disappear and the rates to go up altogether. So yeah, so it's going to be a shock when I go to write a new plan. So let's hope I'm going to have to choose very carefully.
I'm, that is honestly one of my biggest fears. You know, um, I'm in municipal accounting. You know, and as I mentioned, you have costs going up at 3 to 5% a year. Most of your costs are labor
Mm-hmm.
costs, so
Yep.
it's very intensive. 80% I think of most municipalities, their cost is labor cost, and with that is your healthcare. And we've been lucky the last few years, but any spike in healthcare, given how labor intensive, it is. I mean, that you could be talking millions and millions of dollars, and it's not like that 2% is a lot. You look at I mean,
You
the
look at
two
the volume
percent,
of people it covers,
right?
though.
2% of $1 million is what, $200,000. I mean, you're not
I think
that
it's
doesn't really
20.
get you anywhere. Or $20,000, yeah. It doesn't get you anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have a lot to think
Sorry,
about.
that's gonna make me look really bad. We should cut
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. You're an accountant. You didn't know that?
All right. All right.
Oh, yeah. 2% of a million. Okay. All right. I'll leave you alone. Common
We
mistake.
should cut that. We should cut that.
Oh, no. We're keeping it. So,
um,
so let's talk
yeah,
about this
but
board. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, no, I that's my biggest fear is the healthcare cost, because that could be really detrimental. But yeah, sorry, I
No, well,
interrupted
we're
your
going to
question.
keep watching this because I think in mid-October is when open enrollment begins. It's either October or the beginning of November. I usually make my choices like in December, but now I'm going to have to start looking early at what I'm going to do. So we're going to talk about that. If you have concerns or if you're being impacted by healthcare, but you're already seeing that your rates are going to be coming up, just drop a comment below. I'd like to hear from you and just tell us what's going on. I'll definitely, if we don't actually talk to you directly, I will comment, share your comments on what's happening, because we need to have this information out there. People need to really know how our healthcare is going to be impacted, because these cuts are going to evolve. They get bigger over the next couple of years. So what we see now is affecting one group of people. Next year it'll expand, and the year after it'll be pretty bad. So
And I want to point this out, because this came up the other day. It may not be your individual health care that gets hit this year, okay? But it could be a service that you utilize that's being hit,
yeah,
okay? So and I'll give an example. In Arkansas, it was recently known that domestic violence shelters are closing throughout Arkansas,
really.
right? Because of the fact that the federal government cut funding. Okay, so um, this means, right, massive layoffs. Okay, because you have all these people that work the shelters, but even more so, it means that women, particularly women, who utilize these services won't be available to them. And so when we talk about healthcare and we talk about some of these things, don't look at it as being, oh well, they're just cutting for immigrants, or they're just cutting for this, or they're just cutting for that, right? These cuts have real world impacts, and are going to have real world harm to real people, okay, from all walks of life. And we I guess I was misunderstanding that we are compassionate people, and I'm realizing more and more as each day goes by that that's not the case. And so I know we talk a lot about individual health insurance. It may not be individual health insurance that gets cut this year. As she said, it's sort of going to be evolving over the years. One of the early casualties we're now seeing is domestic violence shelter.
That's terrible. That's really terrible. So, uh, all right. Well, I think we will definitely be covering more and more the cuts and how it's impacting, because there's a whole lot of people across the country being impacted, not just even in healthcare, but there's a lot to talk about. So I see us continuing to talk about that over
Well,
the
I,
next
I
few
think
weeks.
that, and right, just as you said, right, you had a conversation with Mr. Sussman about this. what is this going to mean for Orange County in the future, right? New York State will likely, be very good in terms of being able to try to cover at least initially some of these expenses, to supplement what the federal government is cutting. We are we are a wealthier state. We're a giver state. Arkansas is a receiver state. So these type of cuts will obviously impact them more than they'll impact us, at least initially. But at some point in time, they are going to come, and just kind of as right, Michael, and you pointed out, what does this mean for Orange County? Because as of now, we have great services here in Orange County. I'm not going to deny that, and I'm not going to say that we don't. But what does this mean in terms of funding for the future? Because this will be at the direction of the county executive. The county executive will make these priorities. The county legislature will make these priorities. And do they have the same priorities, if these services are no longer being funded by the federal government, that people have been relying on and have been utilizing for all these years?
Yeah. Yeah, we actually talked about, I brought up transportation, which we've discussed before, as, and he agreed that we would need a county-wide, transportation system, like a busing or something. And you're right, these cuts might nix that whole idea if, and that's, again, goes back to employment, getting people to jobs, going to jobs that might have benefits, that might cover health care, that might not get that. So you could see how how things are all linked together. Everything's connected here. And we are in for a ride.
Yeah. How many times have I said that?
Many times.
There are a lot of that we all have to work together. There are a lot of synergies here. I say that all the time. Right? It's not one over the other. It's balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really comes down to balance. And I don't mean to come up sounding like a moderate when I say that, but the fact is when we talk about things, we talk about balance. And you have to have balance. You have to have balance in your life. We talk about having balance in government. We talk about balance in your job. Like balance is literally, in our lives every minute of every day. We hear about that. And what happens when our lives are out of balance? How does that make us feel? Right? As individuals, right? Well, when your government's out of balance, when whether it be local or state or federal, or when anything is out of balance, it's not good for anybody. It's just not good for anybody. And there are a lot of things related to that just make me sad. And I wish it was better.
Well, thanks for watching our show. And if you haven't already done so, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. We're trying to get up to our first 1,000 subscribers, and we can't do it without your help. So do that. Also, leave us a comment. We would love to hear from you. And finally, you can follow us on pretty much all the socials. Just do a search for TOWTalk podcast or sometimes Town of Wallkill podcast. Thanks for watching. We look forward to bringing you more content in the future.